Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. And with that, I am happy to introduce us all or reintroduce us all to our group's co-founder and president, Frank Kovacs. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. As everyone knows, the Breakfast Club was created after 9/11 to help the people that lost their jobs due to the tragedy. And over the years, who could have ever foreseen in 20 plus years all the different reasons for the Breakfast Club to continue? There's been outsourcing and, significant financial and economic crises in the country, a pandemic, which was over a 100-year event. Just so many reasons and uh, things that the different people had to overcome that we've tried to do our best. And then in parallel, there's been so much technological advances and digital transformation has had such a pervasive impact on the work environment that, what we see today is so much different from not only when we first created the Breakfast Club, but just couple years back in 2019 when we put out the first book, trying to contain most of the best practices that we developed here to help others. So, uh, change, as we always say, is constant. And, unfortunately, we have to be continuous learners and we have to constantly reinvent ourselves. But we have to take a different look at continuous learning. We can't look at it as a chore. We have to look at it as something that really, our being is really thirsting for, and by feeding it with, all the different things we learn, it actually, is sustenance to help each of us move forward. So try and, take the right mental approach and mental attitude. And then that's what, Jerry and David do as our presentation committee every month is find good speakers that will speak on a topic that helps with that continuous learning. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jerry Payton, who will introduce today's speaker and the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce today's speaker. We can talk where Frank is coming from learning. We have the perfect speaker for you today. Bussey, MBA, PMI, ACP, PMP, RTE 6, SPC 6, is an innovative change agent, business transformation leader, experience instructor. After many years in senior leadership and roles at top companies, Sharon founded BTII Institute and BTII Consulting. The initial training focus was to provide PMP certification preparation to professionals in transition to help them regain employment and advance their careers. BTII expanded its training and consulting services to specialize in product, portfolio, program, and project management using Agile, Safe, and Hybrid. BTII's clients include consumer goods, energy, healthcare, manufacturing, and technology companies, as well as federal, state, and local government agencies. Sharon has an MBA in marketing and operations from the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, and an MS in computer science from Pace University. I'd now like to introduce Sharon.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be back. I think this is my third time here, and it's always a wonderful experience. So thank you for the invitation. I'm looking forward to this presentation, and I'm going to share it now because I've been talking about different types of careers, and now the Agile and Enterprise Agile continues to advance, and I'd like to share what's occurred, how it's advancing, and the opportunities for you. As I thought about the presentation, I thought about what my goals were, and my first goal, of course, is to advance your understanding of Enterprise Agile. Secondly, Agile is very vast. There's a wide landscape of opportunities. Most people think that it's for software development, product development only, but it isn't. It's spread across all functions of the organization, and it's only limited by the imagination. So it really takes reimagining your job and understanding how you can advance and how you can work better, faster, in a more innovative way using Enterprise Agile. And I'd also like for you to see and come up with what kinds of job opportunities might be options for you. And so with that, I will begin. Please, if you have any questions, please ask. Feel free to stop me. And I'm not sure if I can see the chat box or not from here. Let's see. Let me go there. Okay, so I have the chat box open, but again, please feel free to interrupt and ask any and all questions. And I look forward to hearing from you, not only for questions, but if you have any work experiences that you would like to share that relate to this presentation. So why are we here? For some of you, it's to understand Enterprise Agile. For others, it might be to understand why companies are transitioning. You hear great things about Enterprise Agile, but sometimes you hear not so great things about it. It's difficult. It failed, it doesn't work, it's too complicated. And there are many reasons you hear those things. And most of it leads back to the fact that the key success factors were not in place for those implementations. Some of you may be here because your employer is transitioning and you're wondering how you're going to be impacted. Others may feel that you're not a technology professional and wonder if there are opportunities for you. Agile started with the Agile, with different Agile frameworks, and ultimately they merged into, they took the best practices and created the Agile Manifesto for software development. And so again, there is the feeling that it's really just for software. So many organizations start with software and then they start to roll it out to implement it in other areas of the business. And lastly, you just may want to know, be very excited. You've heard about it, you know about it, but you want to try to think through or get some guidance on what kinds of opportunities are there for you. Okay, so I'd like to begin with a poll in the chat box and just get a sense of what your exposure has been, which methodologies, approaches are being used at work, either you're using it or your colleagues. So if you can put in Agile, Enterprise Portfolio, Program Agile, Hybrid, Predictive, Waterfall. So if you can put that in the chat box so that we can see the backgrounds of participants. Okay, this is very interesting. So we have hybrids, we have Agile, and the only one that says waterfall it's a combination. It's Agile, Hybrid, Predictive, and Waterfall. And that's interesting because that's the trend. Many organizations are trending toward hybrid and Agile. And and many organizations are moving to Enterprise Agile. And these are results from a report done by Digital AI, and it's a bit dated. It's from 2021. They haven't updated this data, but it's showing the trend toward Agile. So just to, I guess everyone's been somewhat exposed. We have hybrid people, and so I'm going to just briefly go over this. So what is Agile? So Agile was formed as an alternative to traditional waterfall. And so waterfall was being used with construction, engineering, and then with technology. But the technology professionals realized that waterfall was not always well suited to the type of work they were doing because their work evolved. The customers wanted to provide feedback. There were changes needed. And so the traditional waterfall way of working was not very effective in many software development initiatives. So what happened is software developers started to develop alternatives like RAD, Rapid Application Development, ROOP, DSDM, Scrum, Crystal XP, and many others. And in 2001, many of the thought leaders, 17 of them, met in Utah, and they decided that they would not come up with a single way of working, but instead they would discuss their different ways of working and talk about what the best practices were across the different frameworks. And out of that came the Agile Manifesto for software development. And it was comprised of a set of values, 4 value pairs, and a set of 12 principles that would guide Agile implementations, Agile ways of working. And although the frameworks, the specific frameworks remained in place, any organization following the guidelines are actually doing Agile. So you could be doing Scrum version of Agile, RAD version of Agile, or just plain Agile. And so it's a set of best practices. And so Agile then became an umbrella term relating to the Agile Manifesto for software development. And these are the top frameworks that are used. And these frameworks are at the team level. So we're talking about team level Agile. And in Agile, we have small teams of 5 to 11 people. And Scrum is the most popular. And Scrum is primarily used to develop new solutions, to develop enhancements. And then the second one is Kanban. And Kanban is primarily used for workflow operations type of work. And so between the two, you can pretty much cover everything. Work is either you're delivering new or enhanced work, or you're doing operations. So with that in mind, the enterprise Agile applications enable you to use any framework at the team level, and therefore you can implement enterprise Agile in any function of the business, whether it could be implemented in marketing and sales and human resources and governance and operations, and absolutely any function of the business. And it really is a matter of how good you are in reimagining your work. It's a tool set that enables you to work better, faster, higher quality, and create great visibility, which leads to greater productivity. So any type of work would be covered under these various frameworks, especially these two. And then we have a combination of the two, Scrumban. So what is enterprise agility? So we've been talking about Agile, and Agile has small teams. and small teams are required for Agile to be effective. So what is enterprise agility? What is enterprise agile? And this is PMI's Project Management Institute's definition. It's enterprise agility is the timely realization of business value, predictability, sustainably, and with high quality. It is the ability of an organization to rapidly adapt to market and environmental changes in productive and cost-effective ways, sometimes referred to as business agility or organizational agility. And so all we're saying is it's ensuring that the organization is at its best, that it's working in the most efficient and the most effective and the most innovative way, with a focus on customer centricity, being able to adapt to the market's needs, being able to adapt to environmental changes. And so just ensuring that the organization is working at its best and servicing its customers at its best. And those customers are both external customers, driving revenues and market share, and as well as internal customers, driving productivity, cost savings, and innovation. And so business agility, this is Scaled Agile Inc. Scaled Agile is the leading framework for Enterprise Agile. This is their definition of business agility. It's the ability to compete and thrive in the digital age by quickly responding to market changes and emerging opportunities with innovative, digitally enabled business solutions. And there is a focus on digital, because if we look at any business, if we look at all the different functions, most of what you're looking at is digitally enabled. And most businesses have become technology businesses or enabled by technology significantly. Whether we're looking at, let's even take taxi cabs. Who would have thought that would have been a technology business? We've got Uber and we've got Lyft. So whatever business you're looking at, it's getting better and better and better through technology. And so healthcare, every place you look. And now we have AI and we have big data, all of these other factors that are also feeding into this and part of it. So why are employers transitioning to Agile? Agile can be complex. It can be difficult to implement. It's a major change management effort. So why are investors investing? And so these are the results, the average results of a safe implementation. And so there have been well over 20,000 implementations. Those numbers are probably 6 years old, the 20,000. So I don't know what the numbers are now, but there have been so many implementations and they gather the data. And so here, 50% faster time to market. That's huge, because whatever the organization is delivering to the customer, if they can get it out 50% faster, that makes them far more competitive. Customers much happier. I spent a decade in the pharma industry, and we had lots of data on every day delayed to market, what it cost us. And we're talking many, many millions of dollars. And so getting a product to the market faster is a major driving factor. Yes, Jerry's comment, thank you for that. And we had competition is driving the transition to Agile, absolutely. And so getting something faster means you're beating the competition. If you can get something delivered faster to your customer. But not only are we delivering it faster, we're delivering it with a better quality. So 50% faster and 50% better quality. And that's driven by increase in productivity. And one of the major byproducts that people don't really pay attention to is that, according to the statistics, 30% happier, more motivated employees. And that has lots of implications. That means that you don't have all the turnover. So there are cost savings there. That means you get to keep your top talent because they're happier, and there are many implications there. So that's also driving the quality, the faster time to market, and the productivity. So this is why companies are trying so hard to implement SAFe. And if you look at this, it's well worth the effort. And so if you want to be more successful, you don't want to implement it in just the technology area. And I was working with a client, and they implemented SAFe, struggled, failed, and then regrouped, came back and did an amazing job with SAFe. And so it's a manufacturing company. They were putting out highly innovative products, high quality products, doing very, very well, but the rest of the organization couldn't keep up with them. And so I worked with their marketing and sales, because marketing and sales was lagging. The products were coming out faster than they knew what to do with them. They didn't know when they were coming out. And so as you bring different functions in the business online, you realize, well, now we need to add this group and this group. And that's how you really achieve full enterprise agility. When all of the functions are in alignment, all of them are operating at their best, that's when you have extreme competitive advantage. And I mentioned a few minutes ago that SAFe is the leading framework for business agility. So that's why we're talking about SAFe as opposed to the other frameworks, because it's the leading one. And so it's leading and it's growing. So this report is from a Digital AI, but there are lots of other reports that talk about the rate of usage of SAFe. It's the most considered. If you look at the Gartner reports, McKinsey has lots of reports on SAFe. So any of the reputable people who put out information, data professionals, will confirm that it's by far the most looked at. It has, the challenges of it have been identified as being complex, but by far the most effective. Because if you look at the other frameworks, they may be a little bit simpler to implement, but you're not going to get the same results. And so that's why this one is very popular and growing at the rate it's growing. The other really great thing about SAFe is that they practice what they preach. So it's about innovation and servicing your customer. SAFe really makes a great effort of evolving their framework. They're constantly coming out with new versions of their framework. And they are also really staying in tune with the market. So being a SAFe professional is really great, because you know that it's not something that's fly by night. It's not something that is going to go away, that you're investing time with. It's something that's here to stay, even if it's not SAFe. Some other enterprise agile framework, just being in that space is really valuable because it's growing, regardless of which framework your organization is using. And or if they're not using a specific framework, they're doing more of an ad hoc. The mindset, the understanding of it, it's going to go across organization. But in my opinion, it's going to be the new way of working, because if you're not doing something similar to this, most organizations will not be able to be competitive. Any comments or questions so far? Very often, again, that technology mindset, but the enterprise agility is for people at all levels of the organization. It is the entire organization, from executive to knowledge worker. And so we have business leaders who are highly engaged, and that's one of the requirements for it to be successful. That's a key success factor, that your leaders are highly engaged. And so this is just sharing some statistics. 32% of business leaders and executives are actively leading and participating in company-wide agile transformations. And that's huge, because very often these types of things are delegated. But with the case of SAFE, in that case, everyone understands that, and Enterprise Agile overall, that it's a change management effort. And the leadership, the executives, must be engaged and leading. And so that makes it also a framework for leadership, for executives. So sometimes as leaders and executives, we feel that these frameworks, these new ways of working are for the employees to implement. But in the case of SAFE, because it's an enterprise change management effort, there are many roles for the leaders to play, and the leaders have to actually lead the initiative with the support of, they use a guiding coalition is a term that's used, but they have to have a team with them to actually know what to do, the steps of implementation. So it's something that leadership, for those of you who are in executive leadership, this is for you. And then 31% of the organizations said agile practices are limited to individual technical teams only. When I look at this, I see opportunity, because what this is saying is that they're doing it, but they haven't yet moved to Enterprise Agile. And at some point, as their competitors move to Enterprise Agile, they will too. And so this I see as current opportunities for those who are in leadership, executives, or aspiring to be. And then I see this 31% as opportunities to help move the organization in that direction. And if you're one of the thought leaders, one of the people who are innovating and coming and initiating these types of effort, then you're well positioned to lead it. So this is also a huge opportunity. 20% agile transformation is led by the office of the CIO, CTO only. And so that makes sense in that it started with software initially, but there are also opportunities for other areas, because it's now not just for technology. And in fact, other areas of the business, including human resources, organizational development design, can also take a lead on this. And so there are many other areas of the business that can take a lead. It just depends on the stage of implementation the company is in. And then, and so these numbers aren't really, this is not sure, and this is something else, but this is talking about who's leading the transformation and what stage. So this demonstrates the huge opportunities that are available for those interested or working in Agile or Enterprise Agile. So now we're going to take a quick poll, chat poll. in which functions does your employer use Agile methodologies? So we know most are software development, product development, but put in any other functions, operations, marketing, security, governance, compliance, HR, any other functions in the business, manufacturing, R&D. If you can put that into the chat box so we can take a look. So we have IT, software product development. Mhm. Okay, great. And of course, we expect to see software and IT, but if we look at Jerry's and Joe's, Jerry's is Jerry with Prudential, it's almost all functions, and that's where organizations are all headed. So they're advanced, and they're moving it into all of these other functions because it's great if you have it in software development, but the rest of the organization will eventually need to catch up in order to reap the full benefits. And Joe has electrical, mechanical, and product engineering. Okay, great.
So, Sharon,
Yes.
if I could give an alternate view, companies, all companies, one of the things they have in common is that they have strategic objectives every year. And basically, the CEO and the leadership team come down with their view of what those strategic objectives of what they're going to deliver for the company and the stakeholders year over year. The companies that I've worked with have taken those strategic initiatives and objectives and basically broken them down into one or more projects each, so that what they're doing is they're looking at what needs to be done in order for the company to achieve what they're setting for.
Yes.
And then those projects internally then are tracked and managed collectively in order to align everybody to the corporate strategic vision. And then therefore, everybody understands what their role is based upon the different projects that they are participating in, and either leading as a project manager or project team member, and how they're contributing to what those strategic goals are for the firm. So that's yet another way, and that way is much more pervasive, where it's basically harnessing the entire organization to achieve the strategic goals for the firm.
That's great. And actually, that is completely in alignment with SAFE. The issue with SAFE currently is that most organizations have started with software, but if you fully implement SAFE, then you have exactly what you described. It starts with strategic themes. It starts up at the top. Epics, and I'm going to show a slide shortly about how it works, but what you said is completely in alignment with SAFE. And SAFE does that exact thing. But now the issue is that most companies have not gotten to that place where they're using SAFE in that way, but the framework is set up exactly for that. And yes, and then Jerry mentioned that Prue is using the Value Management Office to manage the company's work. And the Value Management Office is also taking those strategic objectives and planning out the work. And that's one of the primary vehicles that SAFE uses to do that. But yes, what you described is great, and SAFE is totally in alignment with that. Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments or questions or anything anyone like to share? Okay, great. Okay, and so this is from 2019, 2020, but you can see the growth. So software development is exactly where we would expect it to be. And by now, of course, it's much higher, IT, operations. But we started to see marketing, security, human resources, sales ops, finance. And as all of the other areas of the business started to come online. So what types of career opportunities are there? So we have the team level agile careers. And this is from a survey, 80% of employers are doing team level agile. And then when we move into frameworks like SAFe, which is program and portfolio level, you have another set of opportunities. So the agile teams are 5 to 10, 5 to 11 people. And when you move into program and portfolio level, you're talking about hundreds of people to tens of thousands of people. So you could have thousands of people in a portfolio and delivering on those strategic objectives that you were talking about. And then we have enterprise agility. That's where all the functions are now engaged in implementing enterprise agile. And that's where you can really achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. And that's where we're trying to move to. Okay. And like Sherry said, it's being driven by competition. And so on this slide, this is a very busy slide. This is the Scaled Agile Framework. And it's has many facets to it. If you want to go out, it's on it's public domain. It's at scaledagile.com. It's a really great website. It has a ton of information in here, and the all of these items, these icons, they're all clickable so that you can get a deep dive, a great understanding of the information. Jerry, can you share that? I just saw your chat.
Sure. Sharon, there was a person that actually worked with very closely at Prudential. She was basically in charge of managing the portfolio. And it was under the old waterfall, the traditional way of doing it. And her job was going away. And it happened about 2 years ago. She had never had any access or never worked in Agile before. So what she did, she went out and got a training class and then took the certification for release train engineer. She successfully got the job, transitioned to it. They were impressed with how quickly she got the certification, and she's today been working now about 2 years as a release train engineer and loves her work. So I just thought I'd mention that people are going to see impacts as the transition occurs, but you can, how would you say, give yourself career security by getting these kind of certifications that are so much in demand. And as I mentioned in an earlier comment, is that our jobs now in the company have switched over to Agile job titles. So you will see those titles. So you'll see release train engineer, scrum master, product owner, engineer. You'll see those now in there, which you did not see even, I'd say, 3 or 4 years ago. Just so I'd mention that.
Thank you for that. And I've seen that one of the things we do is we have one of our clients is the state of New Jersey, and we train professionals who are not employed, who've lost their jobs, and we train them, get them certified, and then help them find employment. And so having those skill sets and re-entering the workplace provides them with a whole new set of opportunities, and they've done really, really well with those with certifications in this SAFe space. Thank you, Sherry. And so this is a view. It's a portfolio view. There's another view of this, which is full SAFe, where you see even more. but I wanted to focus in on this. So this diagram it's live, it's clickable, has the various roles that are available in SAFE. Roles that are in SAFE and the actual job titles can be completely different. Some organizations, as with what was mentioned with Jerry, they have adopted the roles. And so, for example, you have a Scrum Master team coach. You may have project managers or general managers within your organization who become Scrum Masters and coaches. You have product owners that they may come from the business units. They may be managers or knowledge workers from the business units, and so on. And so if you go to this website, it has the various job titles, and it provides you with, and I'm going to go out to one of them, and you can see it provides really great information. Yes. Okay, do you all see the diagram? The live diagram?
Yes. SAFE
Okay.
6.0. Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
do.
And if I click on, for example, Scrum Master, it will provide us with details on the role. And so it describes the job, the characteristics of the role. And so it goes beyond just saying you need to have management, leadership experience, and so on. It gives you the characteristics: empathetic, conflict navigator, servant leader, mentor, transparent, a coach. And it tells you the responsibilities, what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And it's very detailed, describing the role. And so for each of the roles on the left panel, that's not all of the roles by far, but it provides you that level, that detail for all of these roles. And so the Scrum Master Team Coach, that's the title that's most popular. People remember that title, but there are far more other roles that people aren't familiar with that are great roles to have. And so we talked about, it was mentioned about the strategic planning process and the leadership coming up with their strategic objectives and breaking them down, and different groups taking them on. Well, SAFE does that. SAFE has an entire way of working at this top portfolio level, where there's something called a funnel, where all of the great ideas are welcomed. They're all evaluated and assessed. It's a very comprehensive process. Instead of fully investing in new ideas, new initiatives, an MVP, a minimal viable product, is done first to prove the hypothesis, to make sure that each idea is not just fully vetted, but tested before the investments are made, to make sure that it's going to yield the right results. And so companies, and I know when I was at Pfizer and Deloitte and those places, they had a really good process, but I've never seen anything like the one that SAFE has, where everything gets assessed Everything's been is giving a benefit hypothesis statement. Everything is you have to go through the process if it's of any significant size of being vetted through this MVP process. So it's extremely comprehensive. It's ensuring that the dollars are being spent the right way, and resources in general. And for people who are strategic planners, who are in portfolio management, there are a whole set of opportunities up here. So when you look at this diagram, we have all of these roles, but then there are many, many opportunities that are outside of this, that are available. And if you think about any role in the organization, any of them could be subject to Agile and Enterprise Agile and benefit from it. And so I just wanted to show you this, but also to say there's a very rigorous process in strategic planning with the portfolio flow. There's a portfolio backlog of initiatives that have made their way through and been vetted and approved. The way we come up with our strategic themes and our vision is very comprehensive. We're in a innovation environment. So everyone in the organization is encouraged to come up with ideas. Everyone is encouraged to innovate. And in fact, there's time and space in the schedules specifically for innovation, where employees have time to come up with different ideas, to experiment, to test them out, and to share them in the organization. So to me, it's a very unique way of working from all aspects. The other really important thing that was mentioned earlier was everyone understanding the vision. And so the vision flows down. There's a meeting called a PI planning meeting where leadership presents an overview of the business, and as well as, okay, hold on a second. We have a chat. Jerry, would you like to share?
Sure, I'm glad to. Yeah, one of the things that's happened since we've instituted this model, because one of the problems we had when we did it at the team level, yes, the development teams were using Agile, but it really didn't move us any faster because the businesses were not aligned. Since we've gone to this model, we're using the PIs and going up with, as I said, with the VMO, and everything's tied together. It really aligns people. So we're finding the communications are much more in tune with one another, and the focus right on to the top. They now have full handle on everything that's going on in the business. And that also enables us to the traditional Agile ability to be able to move fairly rapidly, which we couldn't adapt that fast before. Now we can.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and transparency is one of the cornerstones of SAFE. And everything's transparent. Everyone has access to what everyone's doing. And I was mentioning we have what's called a PI planning meeting, where everyone involved in an initiative is in the same room, and it happens every 8 to 12 weeks, or in some organizations quarterly, where the leadership and the workers who are delivering it all the way through are in the same room sharing the same information. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, there are lots of amazing tools out there. Jim mentioned Miro. So there are all of these tools that were already in place, but especially during COVID, so many more tools were developed to make it even easier to accommodate, the fact that people weren't coming in. What they were really doing is accommodating more global, the ability to work more globally. But yeah, there are amazing tools to make all of this happen. If you have the tools in place, you have the leadership, you have all of these pieces in place, it's not as difficult as most people think it is. but when you have the support you need. And these tools help significantly. Leadership buy-in and engagement helps significantly. But when you're at that phase that Jerry's talking about, and all of the different functions of the business are being engaged, it's like, a really wonderful way of working and enabling the company to be far more effective and competitive. And so we start at the strategic level with the strategic themes, and then everything it gets vetted, tested, and then filtered down. And these PI planning meetings enable the leadership to share with the teams and work hand in hand in delivering the work. And so the way that SAFE works is extremely powerful and effective. And so I just wanted to point you to this as a really great resource. So at the portfolio level, we're looking at the strategic planning functions and vetting. We have something called lean budgets, so making sure that the dollars are going to the right place. I wanted to highlight a few areas, one being big data. And so utilizing the data effectively to make sound decisions is a core part of SAFE. And ensuring we are understanding as we put together our themes and strategic objectives, making sure we are achieving our KPIs so that everything is being measured. And that's really important that we measure our success. If you can't measure it, then that's problematic. So ensuring that everything can be measured. We also have over here AI. And so AI now is such a big deal. And so it also enables you to integrate AI. It gives guidance on all of that. And so that's really important for people who are interested in AI. And if you click on these items, like if you click on big data, you click on AI, you get a deeper dive into the information. So this is an article on artificial intelligence and SAFE, and it's a really great article to read, and how SAFE really supports and powers this. And then we just mentioned the big data. And for those of you who are interested in big data, also SAFE is big with on big data, and it goes into how you can exploit big data for competitive advantage, because that's what SAFE is about. It's about gaining competitive advantage in the right way, and in a way that's sustainable. And then lastly, security. And so previously we talked about DevOps, and so this is really focused on SecOps, development security operations, and security, of course, is if your information isn't secure, then that's a real risk for your company. And so it goes into security. And so these are what I consider specialty areas that have been incorporated into SAFE. And again, as I stated previously, they are constantly evolving and evolving and adding in the latest, the greatest as they move forward. So all of these are really powerful in combination with SAFE, security, big data, AI, just adds to the value. Any comments or questions on this? So the strategic objectives, all of that is happening, and it's happening in a very, very comprehensive way, top down. Most organizations actually don't start here with SAFE. Most organizations start with Essential SAFE. they start here. So there are 4 configurations of SAFE. Most organizations start here. And this and it depends on the culture of the organization. Ideally, starting with portfolio SAFE that's ideal in general, but it may not be ideal for your particular organization. And the reason I say that is with some organizations, you need to get true buy-in. And so sometimes leadership say they want it, but they're not ready for all that it entails. And so in some cases, you begin with Essential SAFE. Just Essential SAFE will enable the organization to have significant improvement in quality, in deliverables, in alignment and transparency and communication. Just implementing Essential SAFE will yield great, great, great results. And so sometimes you start with Essential SAFE and you document those results, demonstrate the value, and then go back to leadership to get the buy-in from the top. And when you have buy-in from the top, then it looks more like, when you have buy-in from the top, okay. Carol, I didn't see your text. You're the one who gets it done. Great.
It's just
Okay.
a pitch. It's not a question.
That's just an introduction to the group, of her to the group.
Okay, why? Yep, here we are. And so SAFE provides an implementation roadmap. And it has the steps all laid out, and it has to be adapted to your organization. Okay, Elizabeth. Your team is looking to set in place best practices and standards for Agile product delivery. And with our Agile teams, would you suggest using SAFE leadership and SAFE model? I absolutely, and I've looked at all of the various frameworks, and to me, this is by far the best one. And yeah, I would, even if you are going to start with Agile teams, I would put the framework in place for SAFE, and you can create a phased plan. You can create a phased plan, and in that phased plan, it's really deciding the best way for your organization, given the dynamics, the culture. And I can speak to you offline if you like, and I'll be putting my information in, but I can talk you through putting together a phased plan. But there are lots of different ways to implement SAFE, and you have to make sure that it's in alignment with your organization's culture, and you have to understand what level of buy-in you have. Okay, great. And so this is the ideal way of implementing SAFE, and they provide a roadmap. And but again, depending on your organizations, many start down here. They don't put this in place. So ideally, you should have your VMO, your LACE, Value Management Office, and your Lean Agile Center of Excellence. You should have all of that in place, ideally. And what happens is everyone's trained, and you have what's called value streams. And that's understanding your customers, both external and internal. And there are many tools that are part of SAFE where you're determining what work needs to be done. And then you create a plan, and then you launch and you improve and you continue to launch and continue to improve. That's a high-level summary of it. And then up here, you also have the results. So this is a good item to look at. And we had mentioned this quality 50%, time to market 50%. But look, some companies have 75% and so on. So this is the roadmap, the implementation roadmap that needs to be adapted to your particular organization. Are there any questions on this? So here you can learn about some of the roles, and but there are many, many, many roles that are not listed here, but these are the key roles. And some of them are very senior level, like the Epic owners. Those are people managing very large initiatives. You have your enterprise architect for the technical people. Jerry, all scaled agile documentation is available free of charge on their website. Absolutely, thank you for that. So you have this framework, publicly accessible. There's also another website that just says scaledagile.com. And that website has case studies and a lot of other really great information. And so between the two, you can learn a great deal. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presentation.
I'm sorry,
Any
Sharon.
questions? Yes.
Sharon, hi, this is Anna. Sorry, I missed out the second one that I know about the scaledagile.com, but what was the second one?
The frameworks. I'll just put them in the chat box for you.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so both of them are in the chat box. And so this is the main one, Scaled Agile. The one that I was showing you previously, that's the framework, and that's the one that's clickable. This one is more of the overview, and this is the one that Jerry had mentioned. What is SAFE? So you learn here all about SAFE, the benefits, executives. It talks about the industries, and resources that are available. And here it has SAFE customer stories. And this is a really great thing to look at because you can see how different organizations have implemented SAFE. And it takes a few minutes to process, but after that, you can scroll down and start running. And you can access various case studies. Here we are. Okay. You can search by industry. So you can select different industries, by region, by topic, and or you can put in keywords. And many of them are videos. And the ones that are videos say watch. Okay. And so this is Oracle. You can watch their video. S&P Global, watch their video. And they have so many. They are really wonderful videos of how, and they're not all polished. They're real. They're talking about their challenges And so you can learn what to do and what not to do with the various implementations. And so you see all the different companies. Okay. Any other questions, comments, anything anyone would like to share? Okay.
Sharon, this is Jerry. I want to just make one other comment, is that when you want to learn the framework or adopting it, you can go right here to do it. But if you want to actually work in the field, especially if you're looking to get one of these, I would say, careers in this particular area, like I mentioned, release train engineer or product owner, you really should try to get a certification if you're not working already in that area, because they're not going to take you seriously, because there's now enough people that have these certifications that's hard to move unless you're doing it right now. If you're doing it right now, don't worry, but if you're not, it's the only way you're going to get these jobs now. That would be my comment. You know more than I do about it, Sharon, but
Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely, because the certifications teach you what to do. How long are the programs? Actually, it doesn't take long to get a certification. Most of the courses are 2 days. Some of them are 3 days. Most of them are 2 days, and probably about 40 hours of study, 40, maybe 60 hours of study. But we've had people take a class and take their exam the same night. It's not usual, it's not advised, but they paid very close attention in class and were able to pass it. If I'm moving into big data or moving data, what would be the best certification to get? We can speak offline about that. It may be the product management route, but let's talk offline. It would probably be the product management certification. Okay, great. Okay, so any questions on this? So how does it work? So we've talked about the different careers and all of that, but what does it actually look like? And so here, Peter said he's currently studying for a certificate in product ownership analysis, which is a hybrid of Agile business analysis. Okay. And so the different career paths. So what does it actually look like? So in order to really understand the types of opportunities, it's good to have an idea of what Agile, Enterprise Agile, and SAFe looks like. So in this example, this is just an example of what it could look like. Let's say it's a pharmaceutical company and they're launching a new drug. And so the launch of a new drug is huge. Many different departments, many different projects and operational efforts put in place. So it's a huge undertaking. And so these are representing what's called Agile release trains. And an Agile release train is a team of coordinated and aligned Agile teams. So in this example, on this solution train, we have R&D, product development, FDA approvals, marketing, manufacturing, distribution, and other Agile release trains. And so if we take just marketing and do a dive into that, what does that look like? So we have Agile teams of 5 to 11 or so people. Rhonda, I have the SAFe certification at Scrum Master level, so looking to see what may be better for my next move. Okay, Rhonda. So we would talk more about which direction you'd want to go. Do you want to go the coach direction? So there are lots of different opportunities in there. So if you're looking to go the coach direction, that's one way you can go, but there are other routes depending upon what your functional areas of expertise is. So again, I would be happy to talk to you at the end or offline either. And but coaching, most people go from Scrum Master to being a coach or a release train engineer. Those are typically the next steps. Okay. And so what does a typical team look like? So if we're diving into the marketing, we'd have our traditional Scrum Master and product owner, but we may have marketing associates, we may have data analysts, we may have content developers, quality reviewers. So we would have whatever set of skills are needed on a particular team. And that marketing art could look like this. They could have a research team. They can have that's doing primary and secondary research. They can have an analytics team that's doing data analytics. They can have a team that's developing the websites associated with the new drug. They can have another team that's doing print ads for that new pharmaceutical drug. Another team that's doing television ads. Another one that's doing marketing collateral, paid ads in social media, email marketing, videos, sales ops. And so all of these different marketing teams would be on the same art. And the reason for that is that they're marketing for the same product, so they must be in alignment. They have to have the same messaging. They have to coordinate when the releases are coming out. They have to make sure that everything has the same look and feel. And so for many reasons, all of these teams would be on the same Agile release train. And they would want to be aligned with all of the other teams that are also responsible for this drug. And so they want to be aligned with the R&D and the team that's working on FDA approval, because they need to know the timing. They have to put together their websites. They have to put everything together, their physicians list, everything they need to do, and in alignment with the different dates and the different timelines. The websites, when can they be ready? Everything needs to be coordinated. And so this would be like a solution train, meaning that these groups are working separately, but they are aligned through the solution professionals. And so you can, think about it, a drug, you can think about a smartphone. So you have a smartphone, you may have the business apps, maybe one Agile release train. The games may be another Agile release train. The hardware may be another Agile release train, but they all must be aligned across the board. And so you can have many trains all aligned. And also you have the vendors, the suppliers also can have their own train, or they could be a team on the train, or they could be embedded into the teams. So there are many, many configurations that you can have. It's just doing what's best for that particular initiative. So it's teams of aligned Agile teams of aligned Agile teams. So it's alignment, alignment, alignment. And that alignment is to strictly deliver those strategic objectives. Yes, I'm going to put my contact information in there. Okay. Okay. And And so as you think across all of these, some organizations use Scrum, some use hybrid, some use Scrumban. And so the team level, you're going to use whichever framework is best. So if it's more operational, they may be using Kanban. If it's more new delivery, they may be using Scrum. So marketing may be creating the marketing campaigns or Scrum, but then they have, the delivery, the getting them out. They may be using some type of, for some of the marketing, it may be more marketing operations work. So it's whatever's best at the team level. So if you reimagine the work that you're doing, in most cases, you can implement it with SAFe and have all the benefits of it. Because most people struggle with, well, I'm doing marketing, how does that fit? Or I'm doing manufacturer, I'm doing R&D. And so there's the work that's evolving, that you're delivering, and then there's the work that's operational. And with those two mindsets, there's really nothing that's outside of that box. You're delivering something new, you're enhancing something, you're doing operations. Any questions on this and what it looks like? Okay. And so this is another one talking about career paths, and we had a couple of questions on career paths. And so the statement is, there is no single career path, but there are common patterns. And so we just had someone who said, I'm a Scrum Master. So very often Scrum Masters become coaches, RTEs. If you're a technical Scrum Master, you may become a system architect and a solution train engineer. If you're more technical, enterprise architect, up to CTO, CIO. So this is a common path, but again, there is no single path. You have options. And then this one is a more non-technical path. And so you have, the non-technical roles, marketing, sales, HR, finance, ops, R&D are some examples. And so you have your product owner or Scrum Master, team coach. You can, non-technical, you can be either. It's not only technical people who are Scrum Masters, because the skill set needed doesn't require that you're technical. You're a coach, you're a servant leader, you have to be able to motivate the team, so you can be a fantastic Scrum Master without being technical. And again, the step up is the coach, and then RTE or product manager, release train engineer or product manager, solution train engineer or solution manager, epic owner, and then any non-technical C-suite role. And then there are all these other possible roles. Professional development, so these are more HR related, talent acquisition, because if you think about it, HR has a humongous role to play. They have to recruit the right people. And as we saw from that listing, the job description is not just do you have a certification. For Scrum Master, it said, are you empathetic? There are all of these other characteristics that are important for being a really good Scrum Master. And so the HR professional should be trained on how to recruit the right people, but also now you're working in teams. Everything is in teams. How does one get promoted? How do they develop? And so SAFe has lots of ways where people can develop. There's pairing, there's training, there's all these different ways to develop. And in fact, it's a great way to develop because you have a coach at all times, but you also have retrospectives where there's constant feedback on how to improve. And but there's no guidance on how to professional development. And so the HR people should be trained. This is a huge opportunity. I don't know if anyone is in human resources, workforce planning, APMO, EPMO, VMO, professional. And Jerry mentioned the VMO at Prudential. Would you like to, Jerry, could you take a second and share what your value management office does?
The Value Management Office, sure. The Value Management Office is really, I would say, they're the link to the senior leadership team, and that's the communication, and they're basically drive all the, I would say, initiatives that go through the company. So they manage them, they coordinate them, and it is agile. So that means your every PI, in other words, which is usually about a quarterly basis, it's all evaluated, and they look at where they are, and they determine whether there's value still to go on there or whether they could be prioritized in a different way. So it really ties the whole organization, and so they're the path that senior leadership uses to gather, determine the priorities of the whole organization, as well as where the leadership comes from, as the VMO helps lead every one of those teams below. And one thing we have here that's a little different than the model that you have here is that each area you have all your POs on the teams. Well, they go up to CPOs, Chief Product Owners, and those Chief Product Owners are the ones that work with the Value Management Office, and so they're putting proposals in all the time for new ideas that go through to get approval, and that goes to the VMO. So, and the VMO is the decisions made there are done by senior leadership, so they're all involved in it and all coordinated, and all follows this agile model. It's very much tied to it. So.
Okay, great. The Chief Product Management Officers, are their jobs in any way related to the solution manager, or they're more generating ideas than leading the initiative?
They're more of the executive over that functional area. So there might be a number of PO areas. So like you were just showing more of it from a pharmaceutical area, just picture one of those departments. So I would just say, let's say somebody's doing cloud, that would all be within a single area. Doesn't mean that the people who are responsible for other aspects like AI and business intelligence, they would work with them, but they all tie together there. So if something were to cross, you'd have those Chief Product Owners directly involved with it, and senior leadership would see their joint proposals together.
I remember years ago seeing Epic Owner advertised as a job opening at Prudential. Do they still have that role? This is maybe about 6 years ago.
I see that from time to time, but that's how would you say? That's more in the VMO office. So they're more of the management of it, as opposed to being the leaders in those specific groups that are actually creating it. The Epic Owners are more of the ones from a business standpoint that are looking at overall what's the business goal of what we're trying to achieve outside. The Chief Product Owners are more in the technology areas for the most part, is what I'm seeing.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And and as I said at the beginning, every organization adapts it to what's going to be most effective in that organization. But you all are very advanced, and so it's good to see how it's being used across all of the functional areas.
Sharon, one thing I think is very important to note is that we don't have to wait for the end of a PI, in other words, an end of a quarter, to see the status. They can see the status because everybody's using the same tools. And so that goes right up to the VMO, and any kind of issues get brought up to senior leadership right there and then. So projects can be killed at any time. So all your initiatives, anything can happen at any time as they're watching it progress. So just like that.
Thank you. And that's the other really great thing about Enterprise Agile. There are tools available. They're not perfect, but they are very, very valuable. And it enables, like you said, a great visibility. You can see if the KPIs are being met, all the goals are being met, and where adjustments need to take place. And so you don't have that very easily with Waterfall, where you have enterprise oversight through the tools. So that's another really good thing that's helping to drive this is that the tools are getting better and better. Are you all using something like a Jira Align or?
Jira Align. We use Jira to
Jira?
Jira Align. And
Okay.
so when you're making changes and everybody's updating from individual teams, that all gets aggregated up, and the VMO can see that right away. And there can be concerns that if things aren't on target or things are on target, they can actually make judgments of where they want to put the investments. That all happens at that point.
Yeah, and that's one of the tools that was really developed, I believe, over the pandemic. It's relatively new. The Jira Align. Jira has been around forever, but the Jira Align is a tool that specifically supports SAFe and Enterprise Agile. And so those tools are just making it better and better and easier to implement. Okay, great. Any other comments or questions on this? Okay. There are a lot of change, agile transformation, change management opportunities. So for those who may not necessarily be highly experienced with agile, but you're consultants, that you do change management, there are a whole lot of opportunities there as well, because it's traditional, normal change management. And so it's typical with change management, the things that make it fail are lack of leadership buy-in, lack of leadership engagement, resistance to change, this is where it gets into agile, lack of lean agile mindset, lack of knowledge of how to implement it, and lack of ability. And so for those professionals who are consultants, who are change agents, this is also a really great space, because at the foundation, that's what this is. It's a change management effort and making the organization more effective.
And Sharon, if I could add an additional perspective, like one of the things I've done in the last several years, because I run a very large global PMO, is we've created a digital ecosystem where basically all the different tools that the PMs use are all integrated, driving standardization, reuse, a lot of operational efficiencies among the PMs. And most recently, even with Gen AI, we'll do things like, one of the most onerous tasks and prevalent tasks is meeting minutes, because PMs have to hold a lot of meetings. And it's a lot of overhead following each meeting to document, and track things. So a lot of the tools we use are more collaborative in nature now. Even when we do our meetings, we can do it on Cisco WebEx. We can have the system automatically record everything, create a transcript. Even beyond a transcript, there's Gen AI tools that will allow you to run the transcript through and create a summarization of the meeting. It will, highlight who attended, what the action items were, and you could actually then import those into your standard meeting template. So the ability to automate and to become more efficient in the use of the different tools definitely enhances the ability of the project manager, so they can step away from some of the repetitive, mundane tasks and instead focus their efforts more on dealing with the issues that arise, mitigating risk, those actions that are really high value that thus far can't be automated.
That's great. Yeah, you can save the time from those low value activities and use them for more high value activities. That's great. Yeah, the tools are very powerful in helping the organization move along. We have another chat. Frank, you want to share? It says,
I'm sorry.
That's Frank Powers.
Sure, I
Okay.
had a question that was directed at Frank Kovacs. If
Oh,
the tools like are having like a negative impact on those meetings, like as far as people sharing like information, like or anything like that, because things aren't getting lost along the way necessarily.
No, nothing's getting lost. If anything, the people have really, liked the tool because number one, if they want to go back to a specific section where something was discussed or requirements were given, they have the recording right at their hand. They have the transcription available to them if they want to look at the written word. We've found, we have an enterprise that spans over 50 countries and 78,000 employees, and we haven't had any negative feedback from it.
That's good. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. And this information is dated. It says 70% of Fortune 100s employ safe professionals. And so whether they're full-blown safe, their employees are getting certified. And so this is what we looked at a little while ago, and this is just basically saying these are execution-oriented roles, ensuring that the work is being the right work is being delivered. And that's down that left side. And remember, this is all clickable to learn about those roles. And up at the top are that's where the strategic roles lie, with the strategic themes of the planning, even the VMOs, the LACE, and all of that would be up at that top level. And so up at the top level, we would have the strategy, lean portfolio management, finance, investment, funding, lean budgeting, PMO, VMOs, the LACE, centers of excellence, governance, business owner. The business owners, those are the people for SAFE, those are the people who are responsible for return on investment and the overall value delivery. And EPIC owners and responsible for the KPIs, and business intelligence and ensuring that everything's being delivered properly. And so this is just these are from LinkedIn, and there's so many opportunities on LinkedIn. This is dated, but you go to LinkedIn, you'll see if you type in Scrum Master, a lot of people start in that role as Scrum Master, and then move into coach and release train engineer and solution train engineer and so on. But this is to show it's across industries, and they are not necessarily Scrum Master titles. And so if we look here, Agile Project Manager, Delivery Lead, but if you were to read inside of it, it's looking for Scrum Master. And so many of the titles do not say Scrum Master. These are coach related, Agile coach related, again, across the board. Different types of roles. And product owner manager related, just a wide range. We even have some credential in here somewhere. Here it is, Agile execution and implementation. And then in terms of paths, it's for everyone. It's for executives, managers, and leaders. Here you have the centers of excellence, the lean portfolio management functions, and creating the plan, people who are doing strategic planning. And that typically comes out of actually a different type of strategic planning. It's more tactical execution planning over here. And then we have the roles that are going to enable the execution. and then the team members who are actually delivering the work, whether they're developers and testers or security people or cloud people or marketing professionals or HR professionals, whatever those professionals are, analysts, whatever they are, this is where they're trained and prepared for this PI planning meeting. And this is where things kick off in terms of execution. Okay. And that's kind of it. So in terms of resources to learn about Agile, you have many sources, including Scrum Alliance, to learn about Scaled Agile framework. The website, and I put this in the chat box, is a Scaled Agile. We have some websites that should be very helpful coming online. AgileHumanResources.com, Agile Hybrid Connect. And when they're ready for launch, I will either come on to your meeting or provide it to Jerry and David so that you can go there when it's available. And lastly, for anyone who's unemployed or anyone you know who's unemployed, there are grants available through the state to attend our school to get certifications at no cost. We are going to start our grant program up also April 1st. So if you or someone you know is interested, get in touch with us mid-March, and then and we'll help you get started with that process of seeing if you qualify to attend to get free training. And so we have PMP training, but we also have a program where you can earn 3 or 4 SAFE certifications at no cost. And the program's 10 weeks, so it's pretty intensive, but most people after 10 weeks have earned 3 or 4 certifications. And then we start the job search, which includes career planning, resume writing workshops, interviewing workshops. And we also periodically have alumni networking events. We've been doing them online since COVID started, but it's a great opportunity to network with other people who are also working in the same space. And that is it. Any other questions? I think I saw a chat come in. Okay. So there's a presentation, AI job search topic, unleashing the power of AI automation for job seekers, with PSG Mercer County. And can you get additional unemployment benefits if your original claim? So Nancy, the One-Stop Unemployment Center has to answer the question, but I've seen a lot of people who exhausted their unemployment benefits, and once they start up school, they put them back onto unemployment benefits, so that until the duration of the program. So that's what I've seen happen a lot, but you have to confirm with your particular one-stop center. But most often they do resume the unemployment benefits.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your questions, your comments, sharing your experiences. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Pat. And it was great being here, and I really appreciate your feedback, your comments, and your time. And I will stay on if there are any additional questions. I'll stay on after the closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Sharon. As always, very informative, very in-depth, showing the importance of what these certifications and processes can do for some of you in your career. So very appreciative that you're a supporter of Breakfast Club of New Jersey. I'm going to turn over the meeting to Frank again in just a moment, but want to let you know that next month, which will be March 9th, our meeting March 9th at 8 o'clock in the morning, John Hadley will be presenting. Always a treat when career coach John Hadley presents. Jumpstart Your Networking. So very powerful and important program. So we hope to see you then. We will keep the mic open for a little while, and at that time, of course, we will turn the recording off. But before we do, Frank, if you have any parting or closing comments, please do so.
I just wanted to share with everybody the point I shared about, every company having strategic objectives and needing to get them in place. And basically the way they do that is through each strategic objective being one or more projects. And, business is moving by such a fast rate of change and pace of change. Companies can't wait until the end of their fiscal year to see if these strategic objectives are being delivered and if they're going to hit the mark. So, hand in hand with these projects, they come up with executive dashboards so that they could be continuously monitoring the progress towards the achievement of those strategic objectives, because those objectives usually have some benefit or value that they're looking to secure on behalf of the company during that fiscal period. So, that's why I was trying to give the broader big picture perspective, that it's not just a project manager's duty, or if, we said some people had project management organizations that were software development phased or product management phased. It really is end to end. I've seen, these different projects span all the different groups, HR, finance, marketing, all the corporate functions are really doing this end to end. So, at face value, you would say, look at today's meeting, it may only be interesting or appeal to a section of our membership. Well, let me tell you, it definitely is end to end in a company. So you will be part of a project team in some way or manner. And, having this type of foundational understanding of how all of this fits together is definitely beneficial regardless of, what your profession is. And I have even seen many of the new project management tools become software as a service, and they're subscription based. So even the small and medium sized companies now even have project management tools to help guide them. And, there's an old adage I'll leave you with: failing to plan is planning to fail. So it's just like job search. If you don't know what your goal is and where you want to wind up, you're kind of rudderless as you go through things. And really, the project management and these tools brings that ability to, really steer you clear to the best path of achieving what the goals and the benefits of that project that you're looking to secure. So a very timely presentation, and one that I think, should help a lot of people. And, one of the things you may even try and do is use some of these project management principles if you're in job search to help you with your transition, to really look at it a little bit differently, more as a business strategic objective, and how are you going to tackle it, and, what are your tasks and actions, and, who are the different people you're working with, and what are the deliverables and the time frames. It brings that concreteness in it, because you lose a lot of that structure when you're in transition. So I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoyed today's presentation.
Good. Thank you very much, Frank. And your final point about using project management in your job search, some people may know career coach Paul Sakala, and he talks about that very same approach: project manage your job search. So nice to hear you enforcing that as well. All right, folks. Well, thanks again for joining us. Thank you again, especially to Sharon, for participating with our group. We hope that we can all see you next month when John Hadley presents Jumpstart Your Networking. John is always a wonderful presenter and fun to listen to, so I hope you can make time next month as well on March 9th. And with that, I'll simply say thank you, everybody.